Good morning. You're watching the Channel M Breakfast Show on Wednesday, the 14th of January, and Manchester City fans reading the back pages this morning will be going Kaka hoop because
hoop, like it. Yeah.
The AC Milan superstar could be coming to Manchester. It's being reported by Silvio Berlusconi and confirmed by the Italian PM that a bid has been put in from Eastlands to AC Milan for, get this, £100 million.
They obviously don't know there's a credit crunch at the minute, do they?
Nikki, that's an estimated salary of £250,000 a week.
What?
A week.
Do you think they've got any openings for you or I?
I think, well, they're kind
I reckon it'd be all right up the wing.
They'll be coming close to us with regards to wage brackets and stuff, but they've got a long way to go yet, haven't they?
Yeah, whatever. £100 million, that is extortionate. But, great news for all City fans, I'm sure. I'm
sure you'll be chuffed to bits, as will the rest of your family.
Absolutely thrilled. Just a couple of minutes, the latest sports headlines with Mike Bradley, including news on Kaka, plus ways to beat the credit crunch and earn some extra dosh. But first, today's news and weather for you.
Good morning. These are the top stories so far today. Producers on Coronation Street are investigating after a church cross was covered up in recent wedding scenes in case it offended some viewers. Candles and flowers were put in front of the metal symbol at St Mary's in Nether Alderley, which was the setting for Tyrone and Molly's marriage on Monday. Granada TV has said sorry after the church's vicar criticised what happened. Well, this story is the subject of today's Channel M news poll. Were Coronation Street in the wrong to cover up the cross at that church? Would you have been offended by the sight of a cross on the altar, or is that what you expect to see when scenes are shot in a church? We've just had a text in to 88821 from Sandra in Droylsden, who says crosses should be shown as they should be able to be worn if that be a person's choice. Well, what do you think? Keep your messages coming in to 88821. Start them with the word news, or you can email newsdesk@channelm.co.uk. We'll try to get through some more of your comments later on. The Brazilian star Kaka could be on his way to Manchester City. The club are understood to have put in a world record £100 million bid for the AC Milan player. The club's officials were in Italy for talks about the move yesterday. There have been rumours of him being a target for the Blues ever since the Abu Dhabi United Group takeover last summer. If the deal goes through, it could see the 26-year-old earning £250,000 a week. More on this with Mike in sport in a few minutes. Asbestos has been found in more than 86% of schools here in Greater Manchester. It means the cancer-causing chemical is present in 903 of our state schools. We've got hold of those figures under Freedom of Information laws, and we'll have more on them in the lunchtime news at 12 noon. The government will explain later how it plans to help small and medium-sized businesses who are struggling because of the recession. 100 such firms are going under every day. Business Secretary Lord Mandelson's getting ready to announce what they'll do to help such companies borrow money more easily. It's expected to include a guarantee for banks on loans up to £20 billion. At least 2,100 jobs are to go at Barclays. Bosses are making cuts in its investment banking and wealth management businesses. The Unite Union says 500 of those will be here in the UK. Only last week, the bank announced 400 staff would go from its IT departments. A teenage rugby player who was thrown in the air by a hit and run and left critically injured is now battling back to fitness. 14-year-old Oliver Page suffered a fractured skull and a badly broken leg after being hit near his home in Cheadle. He's now back home, and doctors have told his mum Jill that he will make a full recovery. Manchester is to get £3 million to spend on getting more tourists into the area. The North West's regional development agency is handing out the cash to help different places cope with the economic downturn. It'll be used to promote them to visitors. Drinking more than 7 cups of instant coffee a day could make you more likely to hear voices in your head. Researchers say the high caffeine levels can increase the risk of hallucinating by 3 times. Scientists are now going to research what other food and drinks could have a similar effect. That's it from me for this morning. I'll be back with the Channel M lunchtime news at 12 noon. And don't forget, Andy Crane will be here from 5 o'clock tonight with all of the day's main headlines. Now, though, a check on the weather with Michelle.
Well, what can we expect from your weather today? It is going to be a lot colder than it has been. In fact, all week we've seen those temperatures decreasing. They started off on Monday of highs of between 10 and 11. Today we're just reaching 4 and 5. That's the best we can expect. Pretty mixed day really for your weather, because we're starting off with a dry spell across Greater Manchester. We're even going to see some patches of sunshine, so not all doom and gloom out there. From 9 until about midday it's going to be very, very clear, but afternoon, well, not looking too great, I'm afraid. We're going to see some showers creeping their way in, and they'll be on and off for the majority of the afternoon and the evening, so do take an umbrella with you if you have got plans to go out and about. There's also going to be a strong wind creeping in from the westerly direction, and that rain is staying with us overnight. In fact, for the next 4 days, I'm afraid. Hate to be the bearer of bad news for you, but Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday are all going to be rainy. A little bit of a respite on Saturday though. We are going to get some sunny spells and best temperatures of the week, highs of 9.
Well, it's the big story we've been talking about all morning. Is Kaka on the verge of making an appearance in Manchester, specifically at Eastlands? Well, £100 million says quite possibly. Mike?
Quite possibly he could be. The one man who broke the story is Chris Bailey, the Manchester City correspondent for the Manchester Evening News. He's on the phone now. I believe he's not had a wink of sleep for about 2 days. Chris, good morning. What can you tell us so far today?
I mean, it's a fantastically exciting prospect, isn't it? And he has been the #1 target of Sheikh Mansour and his board since they took over back in September. But I think it's still quite a long way from a done deal yet, unfortunately. But let's hope it does speed up.
Well, Chris, just looking at some of the back pages this morning, specifically I've got The Independent here. One of the subheadings says the source close to the negotiations said that the deal was 99% done. Is that an exaggeration, or do you think that Eastlands may be keeping this more under wraps?
Well, I think City won't be very happy that it's come out at the moment, because if it doesn't happen, they've got a lot of questions to answer. As far as I'm aware, the deal may well be agreed with the club, but as of last night, they hadn't spoken to the player about the move, about the wages, about when he would come. But yeah, both sides, I think, are confident that it will go through. And I mean, the reason that they targeted Kaka from the off is not just because he's one of the 2 or 3 best players in the world and has been for some time, but he's the one superstar that was available in this window. And Milan are not challenging for their title. They're in the UEFA Cup, as are City, and they have a lot of debts in Milan and an ageing football team that they need to make over. And Kaka, selling Kaka was the one way they could achieve that, and Manchester City are the one team in the world at the moment in the credit crunch that have got the money to do it.
Do you expect the £100 million bid to actually rise? Because I've been hearing that AC Milan do want to sell him, but will only release him during the summer, whereas Manchester City's owners want him now. So that could lead to a bit of a bargaining war. Do you think we're looking at maybe 150?
That may be the percentage of the deal that's not done. I wouldn't. I mean, going up to 150, you're in the realms of that nobody could probably get their head around paying 150 million for a footballer. Of course, if they started this bidding off at 100 million euros, that was probably about 70 million quid a couple of months ago, and it's now 100 million pounds. So there may be some argument over whether that's going to be in euros or pounds by the end of it. But I can't see City wanting to go to much more than 100 million. And in that sense, they're in a decent position, because there's no one going to rival them with that kind of money. There's not another team going to come in over the top and say to Milan, well, we'll give you 120 million, because no one else really in the world of football can afford that kind of money at the moment.
Scheme of things, Chris, do you think it is an obscene amount of money? Bearing in mind someone like Berbatov went for just under 31 million. If Berber's worth 31, then Kaka's a steal, isn't he, the 100?
But he is. He is one of the best players in the world, and Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo would probably command similar fees. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, in the big picture of life as a whole, it's obviously obscene that that a footballer's worth more than a couple of hospitals or 4 or 5 schools. But that's the world we live in. Football is celebrity. They are film stars, and they do cost a lot of money. The double-edged sword for City, of course, will be that the domestic buys that they're trying to complete at the moment, they may have just gone up as well this morning, because West Ham and Blackburn Everton and other clubs are trying to deal with at the moment may say, well, if you can afford 100 million for him, you can throw another £5 or £6 million our way for the players you want. And of course, there's also the need to bring in those players. I think we got an email yesterday from a City fan that said Brian Clough once said that all great teams had three concerto pianists and 7 piano shifters and a goalkeeper. And, City definitely need more piano shifters as well as superstars.
Chris, just picking up on what Mike was talking about, sort of transfer fees and Berbatov at 30 million there. I think the previous record was set with Zinedine Zidane going to Real Madrid at something like £46 million. Regardless of whether that figure is exact or not, this would actually blow that world record out of the water completely. So, as you mentioned before, that he is and has been one of the best players in the world for a couple of years now, but how good is he? And could anybody be seriously worth that kind of money?
Well, not in the real world, but football tends not to be attached to the real world, doesn't it? I mean, if that's what it takes to buy him, then City are going to pay it, and it's not our money, so should we really be bothered? It's the Sheikh's personal fortune, I think, that's buying the player. I mean, the simple answer is no. No footballer's worth that. And I think we said when Zidane went, well, that will never be topped. And it just carries on. And who knows if Cristiano Ronaldo ever wants to leave Manchester United, maybe he will go for even more than that. But we'll have to wait and see. I think at the moment City fans, could push aside that figure, although it will be debated morally, I suppose, and just hope that they're going to see Kaka and Robinho in the same team, and if you'd have asked somebody that a year ago, they would have locked you up.
It's running out of time, Chris. I want to ask you about Dietmar Hamann. Do you think we've seen his last game for the Blues? I know he's been ruled out for the rest of the season with a toe injury.
Yeah, sadly, very possible. If he's had the same injury before. It took 3 months to get back. That would take us to April, middle of April, and then he's got to get his match fitness back, which would take us to May. So I can't really see a way back for Diddy, and if Kaka's in the team by then, and pushing me even further down the list. So he may be looking for maybe another year somewhere else, or maybe a coaching job.
I've used the line before, and I'm going to use it again because I'm sure the papers will dominate with it. But I'll tell you what, if he does come to Manchester, the whole city will go Kaka hoop.
Very good.
Chris, thank you very much for joining us, as always.
See you later.
See you, boys. Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.
OK, but in the interest of balance, because there are two big teams in this city, after all. Manchester United are in action against Wigan tonight, but more injury woes affect Sir Alex Ferguson, specifically in defence, as he's been talking about.
Everett will be out for 3 weeks. 3 weeks minimum, and maybe 4 weeks. Shouldn't be any more than that. He just went over in his foot, and he's done the little ligament in the bottom of his foot. So we're trying to get the swelling down in it, and there's a lot of blood in there that's got to be cleared up, and that'll take a week, 7 to 8, maybe 7 to 8, 10 days to get all that cleared up, and then we'll get him into training.
OK, it's time to talk money now. We're joined this morning with our very own debt buster, Richard Fenton. He's here with some great ideas of how you can earn some extra cash. Good morning.
Good morning.
Still think you should wear a cape that says debt buster on?
Yeah, I wear a cape and become a football agent, I think, after that last piece. Become
Tell
Kaka's,
you what, I knew
agent.
I should have been a footballer.
Yeah,
He certainly won't be looking for an extra income, will he?
No.
OK, we've not got a lot of time. We've got plenty to get through, so let's rattle through. You've got some top tips of ways that people can supplement their income, perhaps by having a part-time job or an ad hoc job.
Yeah, we've got 5 ideas for you, running through them very quickly. First one is from a film or TV extra, or even a lookalike. Okay. Plenty of opportunities around Manchester with Coronation Street and a couple of other big productions. The second one, again, because we're in Manchester, we've got some great sporting venues. We've got the 2 big football teams, Old Trafford, and some excellent concert venues. And all these venues need stewards at the weekend and in the evenings, and you can earn anything from £50 to £100 per event, which is very good.
Just to both of those, how do you get into that? Because I would imagine to some people it seems like a bit of a closed shop. You've got to be a friend of a friend, or you've got to work there full-time and perhaps get the extra shifts. Can you just apply as an ordinary person in the street and get get work?
Fairly straightforward, particularly the film extras one. There's 3 or 4 big agencies in Manchester. You can get them through Google, or you can go directly to my website. We've got some links. It's really a case of just registering your details. Anybody can do it because, of course, extras is just about anybody in life. And you just put your details online. You might have to go in and do a little short film, talk about yourself. That's it. Just sit back and wait for the work to come in. You do spend a lot of time hanging around on set, I understand, waiting to be called on. So I think you mentioned earlier, take a good book.
Yeah, I've done a bit of extra work in the past. It's great fun.
Yeah.
I mean, the nice thing about it as well is if you don't want to commit to something, you can say no, and you might only get a job once a month or once a fortnight. But yeah, top tip, take a good book or a magazine, because there is a lot of hanging around, but it's really exciting.
Exactly.
And it's a good talking point with your friends.
Yeah, oh yeah.
OK, third tip, mystery shopper. I like the sound of this. There's a bit of a shopaholic, get to spend somebody else's money.
Perfect for the shopaholic. Basically, what you can do is, again, you register with an agency. They will call upon you to go into a big retail outlet and report on the shopping experience. You'll be given a small budget, anything between £5 to £50 to make a purchase, usually something specific, and then you fill in some paperwork afterwards reporting on how the service was, what the product was like, and were all your questions answered. And, of course, you're spending somebody else's cash. You don't get to keep the goods. You've got to give those back at the end of the day, but you do get paid for the privilege. But you've got to make sure that it's somewhere local. You don't want to be spending too much money on travel expenses, etc., to get there. And you might want to do 2 or 3 in one hit, but you've got to also remember you're not going to get sent back to the same stores twice. So it's got a fairly short lifespan.
OK. And how do you get into that? Is that something that's relatively easy to get into? You don't have to be deemed an expert shopper or anything, do you?
Absolutely not. It's just anybody, really, because you just want normal men, women and even teenagers to go into specific stores. Again, agencies specialise in providing these people, and you can find those through Google or, again, on the website.
Fab idea. And another idea that I love, trading on the internet, eBay. I'm addicted.
It's a fantastic way of earning extra cash. Very addictive as well is eBay and Amazon. There's 3 or 4 large websites out there at the minute, but between Amazon and eBay, they have 2 million registered users. Wow. So you can usually find a buyer for something that you want to sell, and it's amazing what you can sell on eBay. But the best place to start is with old DVDs and books that you've no longer got any use for. And also look at the website and see what's selling, see what the popular items are, see what they're selling for, and go into it fairly slowly. The earning potential is actually endless, and some people actually make a full-time living from eBay. But you've got to be careful of the tax implications. If you're earning a certain level, you do have to declare that to the taxman because he wants his cut. But it's an excellent way to boost your income.
One man's tax is another man's treasure.
Exactly.
And as you say, I've put things on there, thought no one would be interested in this. How do they find it, for starters? But they do. It's amazing, isn't it, what people are on there looking for. And finally, I quite like the sound of this. Sounds like a nice way to spend a weekend day. Dog walking.
Yeah, double win on this one. You can earn some extra cash.
Do you have to be a teenager to be a dog walker?
It really does kind of fit into that young person category, but at the other end of the scale, it's also perfect for people who've retired. So people that have retired and are struggling with the rising costs of heating bills and have time on their hands and are animal lovers, you can spend time walking people's dogs, or if people are away on holiday, you can go into their homes, feed their cats or their hamsters or their goldfish. And also you provide an extra service by making sure that the home is secure while they're away. And you can build yourself up a nice little client base of regular income. We actually use somebody ourselves to feed our 2 cats, Andrew and Mrs Slocum, while we're away on holiday. Yes, yes.
Andrew and Mrs Slocum.
Andrew and Mrs Slocum.
No, it's a lovely idea. As you said, I was kind of teasing for when I said teenagers, because I suppose anybody can do it, and families perhaps that can't commit to buying a dog, it might be a nice way of sort of bringing it into the family. The kids get their fill, and then it goes back, and it's
people who live in flats or sheltered accommodation but have a love for animals. It's ideal for them to get out and about, exercise themselves whilst, you know, earning extra. You can charge £15, £20 per animal per day, depending on what you're doing. Excellent.
Well, if Andrew and Mrs Slocum need a babysitter in the future, sling them my way.
We'll be sure to give you a call.
Couple of extra quid. Thank you very much, Richard. Time now for a quick break, after which, how to look for the right dog for your personality with Manchester Dogs Home. We'll see you shortly.